Friends, welcome back.
The second millennium AD was marred by foreign invasions which tore the fabric of the civilization and its structures with plunder, loot, and rape. In spite of all of that, the Indic mind continued to maintain its brilliance, as we shall see in today's episode.
In the previous episodes, we had touched upon Adi Shankaracharya and his philosophy of Advaita. In today's mainstream people, normally we would be under the assumption that that was about the last word, and nobody ever challenged it again, and that became the prevalent philosophy. True, but not entirely true, because the Indic mind is such that it never says anything as a final word. There is always much more thought, much more debate, much more challenges, and it goes on and on. So, whilst the Advaita, even though it originated from the Vedas 10,000 years ago, Adi Shankaracharya actually brought it back into the mainstream and fired up the imagination of the people, particularly in opposition to the Buddhist thought that was prevalent in the country at that time. But then this philosophy went on being further embellished, molded, debated, and whatever. And one such name is again, like we said, of Abhinava Gupta. He attained enlightenment in a cave in Kashmir, which is still present to this day.
The cave where he attained enlightenment is located in near the town Birwa. Birwa gets its name from the word Bhairav. Bhairav means fearless and is just near Srinagar, just beyond Gulmarg.
He kind of brought in a new thought into this whole thing, and his books Tantra Loka and Tantra Sara are simply amazing in terms of the kind of light and illumination he throws on this whole concept, and how he adds more brilliant dimensions to it. Not to mention, of course, his Sambhashana on Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra was originated from Bharat Muni in 600 BC. 1400 years later, this man is decorating it even more, making it much more enriching, wherein he is trying to position the fact that through the arts of poetry, drama, and song, you can actually achieve the bliss and enlightenment. It's to that extent that he goes. And of course, he's got a very playful and bold mind. Imagine with his name Abhinav Gupta. He goes on to mention that Abhinava means brand new, something that is absolutely taken birth then and there. And that's what is the universe, the Maya Shakti. Because the whole Maya is ever changing, it's not permanent, it is changing every split second. Every cell is rejuvenating. So the universe is an absolutely brand new every instant. But then this play of Shakti, of Maya, is hiding something. Gupt, as in Sanskrit, Gupt is secret. So it is hiding something in secret, and that is hiding the truth of Shiva, the underlying force, the supernatural force, the super consciousness of the universe. And he says, so Abhinav Gupta, wherein this interplay of Maya, where it's hiding in its depth, this all permeating super consciousness, this interplay is what he is watching and attaining his bliss, and that is coming through his name Abhinav Gupta, a name given to him by his parents. Look at the beauty of his thought and how he goes on.
Abhinav Gupta's great grandfather was Atri Gupta. Atri Gupta was serving the king of Kannauj because he belonged to the area between the Ganges and the Yamuna. When King Lalitaditya conquered Kannauj, he took Atri Gupta with him and brought him to Kashmir, where he built him a spacious house and also granted a jagir of land to him. Abhinav Gupta's grandfather was Varagupta and his father was Narsimha Gupta. His family had a long tradition of scholarship. Being brought up in Kashmir and living there those days, Abhinav Gupta tells us this is a region where everyone is either a poet or a scholar, where even the warriors are eloquent, and urbane ladies whose gait is gentle, possess a moon-like radiance and brilliance. Imagine the Kashmir of then and what it has become today.
He finds the super consciousness, the great Shiva, in everything, in every object that he sees in this universe. That is how he finds his bliss. Another illustrious name is of Sri Ramanujacharya. He's a saint from Tamil Nadu in the south, and he lived from 1017 to 1137 AD. That's about 120 years, which is quite a large lifespan. And of course, there are great works to his credit, the most important being Vishishtadvaita. Now, the interesting thing in Vishishtadvaita, as per Ramanujacharya, is that Shankaracharya tries to say that the Brahman or the Supreme is without any attributes, is formless, and is nothing, is cannot be described. And yet, all this knowledge, everything, the fount of everything should have come from there. So that means that the ultimate super consciousness is all knowledgeable, all pervading, all limitless, and everything. And he says, but then these are attributes. So we cannot claim the Brahman to be attributeless. So he brings this distinction between the universe and the objects and the supreme and the relationship between them. And then he introduces this concept of bhakti in a manner that then goes on to become what is then followed largely. And this kind of a thing is what is called as Vishishtadvaita. And most of these are debated through great senses of logic. You got to be in that mode of learning to be able to start appreciating these beauties and then be able to take it from there. And there are many legends about Ramanujacharya.
Ramanujacharya took Samadhi in the year 1137 AD at the age of 120 years. And did you know that his body has been preserved to this day? Sri Ramanujacharya's shrine is located inside the Sri Ranganatha Swami temple in Tiruchirappalli. There, his body has been brilliantly preserved for centuries. Rather than chemicals, sandalwood paste and saffron are used to protect the exalted body. A coat of camphor mixed with kumkum is applied twice a year, which gives it an ochre orange tint. And this tradition has been followed for more than the last 886 years. And it helped to keep Sri Ramanujacharya's body intact. While the Egyptian mummies are placed in a sleeping position, wrapped in cloth, and applied with several layers of chemicals, Sri Ramanujacharya's body is kept in a sitting position and preserved with only natural herbs to this day.
Another very great name is Vedanta Desikan. Now, Vedanta Desikan is actually a title which given to him, which became his name. His original name given to him by his parents was Venkatapati. But then, because of his immense knowledge of the Vedanta, of the Vedas, and the fact that he was a teacher par excellence, he got it, and he was called Vedanta Desika or Vedanta Desikan. Vedanta Desikan again is a polymath, and he wrote in several languages: Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Sanskritized Tamil, and so many other languages. And he's written a huge body of works. Actually, we learn a lot of his contemporary people and others from the works of Vedanta Desika. Vedanta Desika is he mentions about his teachers, and one of them whom he gives a lot of credit, and he goes on to say that he taught him with such patience as a man would teach a parrot to talk. So these are the kind of beautiful expressions that he uses. And of course, there are many legends about him. The most important one being that he wrote the 1008 verses called Sahasra Padukam, in which he extols the virtues of the Lord's sandals. And he writes 1008 verses on that. and those are so enchanting and so entertaining for an audience that it's a masterpiece.
And as the story goes, his contemporaries, who were jealous of his fame and his brilliant talent, arrived at his doorstep and challenged him to compose 1,000 verses on a subject as limited in scope as Bhagwan Vishnu's Padukam. And he must do this between sunset and sunrise. He took upon the challenge and composed 1,008 verses on Lord Vishnu's Padukam, which have come to be known as Padukam Sahasranamam, a brilliant masterpiece.
That on such a limited subject, he could compose this kind of poetry, and he did it from sunset to sunrise in the time of one night. Vedanta Desikan's life spans from 1268 AD to 1370 AD. 101 years, actually 100 years is what he lived. Illustrious life, a huge volume of works that he's left behind. But during his lifetime, Malik Kafur was one of the generals of Alauddin Khilji, forays down south and actually ransacks the city of Srirangam.
In 1311, Alauddin Khilji's general Malik Kafur attacked and ransacked the temple town of Srirangam and the temple complex. It is said that they had slain more than 12,000 Brahmins and devotees. It was at this period that Vedanta Desikan took the lead in trying to save the deities from being desecrated. And it is said that he even had to lie down amongst the corpses and dead bodies in order to be able to save the deities and then come back later once order was restored to be able to reinstall. It is after this incident that he went on to write the book, which is another great masterpiece on overcoming fear. And another little known feat is of solving the problem on the chessboard. You see, on the chessboard, the horse moves in a particular fashion, and it does it in an L shaped movement, and it can jump over squares. The problem is to start at one end and let it jump throughout the board in such a manner that it would have traveled and visited every square on the board without hopping in onto any square a second time. This problem Vedanta Desikan had solved through a shloka which is available, even though the modern civilization credits Leonhard Euler, a Swiss mathematician, for this, who lived between 1707 to 1783, and yet Vedanta Desikan had solved this almost 400 years earlier. So, friends, this is the story of our great minds, and we got a few more left that we shall cover in the next episode.
Thank you very much for watching me, my dear friends. Thank you for supporting. Till next time.